Okay, I am on a video thread, and the comment section is about transgender women from male to female having or birthing children. Okay, so it's gotten really kind of awkward and weird because the delusions of American citizens, probably not just American citizens, but mainly American citizens. It's one thing to support the LGBTQ plus community, which everybody should, right? Because people have a right to live in freedom, and it doesn't matter whether it's your religious belief or whatever, as long as it's not harming anybody else. This is where you have to draw the line, right? Let me get this community thread up, right? So I kind of want to go over some of the conversation. So what initially, I need my glasses. I'm using my magnifying glass. So what I said was just curious, whose uterus will Dylan use to birth a baby? No hate, just reality check. Even if science created a way for a uterus to be transplanted in a male body, who are you taking the uterus from? A bio woman. And how long will it take to make a bio male sick? Question mark. I said we are not accounting for rejection and the reason women are women. The communication between the unborn fetus through the umbilical cord to the mother and back and forth, again, the divine aspect of creation. We need to be honest. It's okay to be trans and adopt or have a surrogate, but please quit trying to delete women. And that was my comment. And for some reason, that comment really, really, really triggered a lot of the people on this video, right? Here's a comment from this person. It says, we really just had the first successful uterus transplant, while currently it only remains viable for a single pregnancy. With more time, trans women very much will be able to have our own children. Seems you're the one who hadn't kept up with science and medicine. So let me go through here because there was a lot of comments. So that was the last comment that I made, right? Or that was made to me. This person here says, LMAO, you gotta be joking. Nobody is erasing women. However, if you're taking uteruses out of natural born women to place in biological males to pretend to be a male who can birth a child, that is erasure. That is erasure in itself. But let me continue with the comments. I said, actually, I'm not joking. I know women can't be erased because humanity wouldn't exist. However, society is trying, and the disrespect is unbelievable. So that was my comment to that person. And then I said, also, I love how you went right over the part about the need for taking an actual uterus from a natural born woman to get to so-called transplant. Now, why on earth would you bypass that part? Who's giving up their own uterus as a woman? That was my question. And then somebody else commented. It said, "Lo, I wanted to be a mom, and how are you going to do that, huh?" Question mark. And then this person says, "The same way lots of people do with a childbearing partner, with a surrogate adopting, and she wants to be a mother, but that doesn't mean she has to birth the baby herself." So my comment was, which is part of it, like I said, you can be a mother, right, as a transgender woman. And I mean, let's be honest, there's a lot of women out there that don't want to take care of their children. They don't love their children. They're very abusive to their children, and that's why they're in child protective services, right? So you, by all means, if you're fit enough to become a parent, you can raise children. That wasn't the question. The question was taking actual uteruses out of women, natural born women, to play like you can birth a child. So that was really the point. So it wasn't that trans women can't adopt and or have a surrogate and create children. That was not the question or the point that I was making. And I do believe that if you're fit and you've been deemed fit to raise a child, and any loving home where a child is being nurtured and cared for and not neglected and abused, oh yes, that's the best home for a child, no matter who's raising the child, right? So that wasn't the point I was making. So let me get back to this. It said, try reading the whole comment I made. Reading is fundamental. There was a lot of discussions here. And I also said, P.S. Dylan says she will birth her own baby. Please don't play the delusional game with people. Because that is what Dylan said, right? So here's another comment from this person. And he says, we literally just had the first successful uterine transplant, while currently it only remains viable for a single pregnancy. With more time, trans women very much will be able to have our own children. Seems you're the one who hasn't kept up with science. Actually, I have. And the reason why there was a transplant, because it was one uterus into another woman's body who already had a uterus there, which means that all of the mechanics, when it comes from the brain signaling to the uterus and so on and so forth, that natural born women have when it comes to the subconscious growth of a child through her uterus, which is responding to neurotransmitters in her brain to the uterus. She already has that equipment. However, natural born males, do not. So when the subconscious conversations that are taking place between mother and child, yes, a uterine transplant can actually work, but it's working for one woman to another because they already have the capability, and they already have uteruses, and they already have all these other factors in their body that signal a uterus, right? Okay. Now, what hasn't been said is whether that uterus was able to produce a child. So, okay? And even if it does, that is from one woman to another who already has the mechanics to do so. Men do not. So, or males do not. And this is the delusional part that I can't get with. And teaching people this kind of idealism. And so I say, whose uterus would that come out of in order to do that, since biomales don't grow uteruses? And if let me see here. and if and from who and from what bio female, and at what cost from the organs taken, or organs being taken from the woman or little girls for that matter. I said, I also comment part 2, I said to this person, the uterus transplant was done in an actual woman and a not a male. Reason it happened is because women grow uteruses naturally, males don't. See where I'm going with this? It's the blatant disrespect you have for natural women, for me, that makes me say all this is bad. And not that I don't think that some trans women wouldn't be good mothers to children, because a very close friend of mine who is a trans woman would. However, people like you and others think uteruses grow off of trees and not inside actual human women. So these were my comments, and for some reason it's very triggering for these people that are in this comment thread, that they just can't leave things as is. So it's okay to live your life as you see fit, right? But when you start, and this is the problem, harvesting organs, there's illegal trafficking for harvesting organs from people that has been taking place for more than 50 years, where they've taken organs from other human beings and basically throwing them out as trash and killing these people in order to harvest their organs. Is that what we're going to try to do? We're going to try to do this with uteruses as well? Because what natural born woman who is of childbearing years or whatever is giving up her uterus? Maybe some will, but the majority of the women are not, for this science experiment that is going to go wrong, because males absolutely do not have the communication skills between their brain and that uterus, which is the factor that they're missing when they're talking about these transplants. So when people get a transplanted heart or a liver, the reason why the transplant can be successful is because everybody has a fucking heart and everybody has a liver, and that there's communications from the brain to that organ to make the organ function. Males aren't born with uteruses and ovaries. As much as that hurts people's feelings, this is the fact. So you don't have any kind of wiring, hardcore wiring from the brain to those organs to make those organs function properly. So this is what I don't like about science, because science has this Wizard of Oz type of mentality where everything goes. There's this wizard behind the curtain pushing all the buttons, saying this and this and this is going to happen, when they don't actually do the reality check of why certain things are happening, why uteruses function in women, natural born women, because there's actual hard wiring from brain to organ. And when it comes to birthing a child, that information that is going through the umbilical cord to the fetus, this is divine creation. And I know people don't want to accept divinity, and they don't want to accept the fact that there are powers greater than them and greater than science as to why things work and why things don't work. But I just really wish that people would be more honest and stop with the delusional stuff. Like this is nonsense. Can a trans woman or a trans man adopt children? For sure. Can they raise children and possibly do a really fantastic job? For sure. But let's not be condoning delusional thought processes. We have enough mental illnesses in America that this kind of stuff needs to actually stop. And then even if even if they do a transplant, at what cost and what's going to happen to the little girl or the woman that's giving up her uterus? Because in order to take a uterus out of a woman or a child, a young girl, there's surgery to be done. There's risk factors. So this is where I say the blatant disrespect, because it is very disrespectful to think that you automatically should get the right to other women's organs just because.